And we're back. Dr. Yael Benvenisti. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you
Uh,
very much. I'm
and
very happy to be here.
and I believe you are logging in from Tel Aviv, correct?
Almost. I'm from Haifa, which is in the north part of Israel. We have quiet here, then it's okay.
Yeah. So in this particular episode, we're going to talk about Insurtech, and we're going to talk about Insurtech in regards to gerontology. But
Yes.
we're gonna start with Insurtech Israel, which you are a member of. And what's interesting about Israel in general is there's I've noticed this throughout the years as an entrepreneurial culture almost. This isn't unique to insurance, but some of the most successful insurtech companies have Israeli origins or Israeli roots to that. Can you talk a little bit about Insurtech Israel and talk about just the culture? What's so unique about that particular culture where it's entrepreneurial, and why has the Israeli startup culture been so successful in the insurance ecosystem?
Well, I think Israel in general is a country that is very innovative. We call it innovation on steroids because in our area, we need to be very innovative. We need to move fast. And this is the culture. You need to find solutions for different challenges in a very short period. And that's what makes us very innovative and always thinks outside the box.
Hmm.
Regarding Insurtech, it's part of the whole ecosystem of innovation, of course. Insurtech Israel is a very big community. Only our company is supporting more than 200 companies in different stages. Our company works in four pillars. The first one is investment. We invest in seed money in the first stages of the companies. Then we have a business development opportunity. We are working with very young companies and do what we call market product fit.
Hmm.
And we can work with more mature companies and help them grow and open doors and make connections with insurance companies. We also have a very successful accelerator. It was chosen one of the best accelerators in the world. And we have a media arm which operates conferences, delegations, roadshows, and some kind of newsletter which called Insurtech Israel News. We're working with partners. We have partners from all over the world, from Israel to Australia. We're working with a Migdal company, which is an Israeli company, AIG, IAG, AF Group, Tech Ventures, Aeons, and so on. So it's very exciting to see that we have a very thriving ecosystem in Israel.
Well, it's exciting, but it's also attractive. Does it
Yes.
have to be an Israeli company to become part of Insurtech Israel? I'm assuming yes, but it is a very
Yes.
attractive, it seems like a very attractive landing spot. What are some of the criteria that you're looking for to have, you said you have 200 companies. What does the 201st company need to look like to get access?
Well, they have to think about insurance company as a major vertical that they can approach and work with the company can work with the product.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be necessarily a company that thought that insurance company is their major way, but maybe with a little bit of thinking, reshaping the product, it can fit.
Yeah. So let's talk about your career and what kind of got you into insurance and into InsurTech Israel. So, as anyone that can see on the tag, it says doctor in front of your name. Do you want to talk a little bit about your background?
Well, my background is in gerontology. My PhD is in gerontology, which is the science of aging. Actually, I was a CEO of a CVC, investing in technologies for aging well, age tech, wellness, and digital health. And the reason that I decided to leave to change my role is because I felt there is a gap. When the companies, we invested in seed money, of course, and when the companies approach insurance companies, which makes sense that they will approach insurance companies, there was a gap between the potential value of prediction or early detection and the current underwriting models that are used by insurance companies. And I believe that in order to adopt technologies that are dealing with prediction, we need a new models of underwriting that will take this parameter into account. And I find it very exciting because it's a very big change. It's not just a change for the policy and for the underwriting, but I think it's a new revenue verticals for insurance companies. They can offer many products that can help prevent policy activation. They can offer products for the benefit of their customers, and it's really a new space that they can enter, and I think that we can lead it.
Yeah. So what kinds of insurance are you describing?
I think from health, of course, that is the obvious vertical, but also preventing house fires and preventing. And let's talk about your car being stolen. You can put a device and prevent from it to being stolen.
Yeah. Yeah. So for aging, as you were describing that, I'm thinking there's a life insurance application there. Wouldn't a life insurer want to extend the life of their policyholders? And wouldn't the policyholder like that as well? Right. So it's life insurance is one of the areas of insurance where there really should not be like a moral hazard. Right. They both want the same thing. They both want the policyholder to live longer. The insurance company wants it because they will collect more premium, of course. And doctor, I've seen like a lack of innovation in the life space. Why do you think that might be?
Because I think it's a very simple policy. You pay as long as you live, but the thought is that usually you buy life insurance, but also health insurance. So if you live longer, it's okay, but you have to live healthy life. Because if you are not healthy, then you cost the insurance company a lot of
Yeah,
money. And
yeah.
it's not enough just to deal with the long life, but it's also, we must deal with the quality of life. And actually, gerontology is the science of aging and older adults. We are dealing with the biological aging, the cognitive aging, the social aging, health, and so on, but also the economic aspects and policy issues. And we want, in the end, that our older adults will grow old healthier and be engaged in the community.
What are some of the technologies or innovations in gerontology that are extending life or are making life more pleasurable, I guess, because I'm aging, and I notice every time I walk down the stairs in the morning, I feel like the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz, like I'm all creaky and I have to kind of warm up my body. What are some of the advances that have occurred in gerontology?
Well, the longevity research try to understand the biology of aging. It is what I told you. It's not about how long we live, but to prevent the diseases that are connected to the old age,
Yes,
and they
yes.
can cause suffering to a person, but they can cost a lot of money to the system. Another area of research is called aging in place, and that includes lifestyle and wellness and fighting loneliness and finance and nutrition, and every aspect that I mentioned is connected to our health in the end. So if we are dealing with loneliness, we know that every day of loneliness is equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh,
Every day
huh.
of loneliness is equal to 15
Okay.
cigarettes. So if we eliminate loneliness, we will have a healthy older adults.
Okay, so the devil's in the details because that's an I've heard that stat before. So
Yes.
it's very interesting. So how does technology play a role? In my mind, I'm thinking, Facebook or meetups for older people, but I have a feeling that a lot of innovative engineers are using technology in much more interesting ways to solve that problem and other problems.
Yes, because if we're talking about loneliness, we can find social robots that are very popular, more and more popular. Aliq, which is an Israeli company, it's Intuition Robotics is the name of the company, and Aliq is the product. It's a social robot. It's a small robot. It's very unique because it's a proactive robot. It initiates the conversation. It suggests suggestions,
Is it is it
having
a is it
conversations.
a is it a physical robot? Like it's there in structure, or is it more visual on a computer screen?
No, no, in hardware look like a snowman. It is connected to a screen, and actually, when you are talking to the robot, it moves the head, and it has lights, and it connects with you. It doesn't have to look like an animal or a shape of a humanoid, because we are interacting also with the iRobot that is cleaning our floor. When it comes to the corner and it's stuck
Yeah.
and it says beep, 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 then we are coming to it and say, oh my God, you are stuck. I will take you. It's okay. And we connect with the box. So it doesn't have to have the shape of something that we know, but we connect very well with the machines.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's
And
a
it's
ton.
really,
Yeah, I'm assuming there's a ton of artificial intelligence in the background that's associated with this.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of
So,
course. But it is very well connected to insurance because let's take, for example, improved mortality forecasting. If we analyze the trends of diseases and the trend of advancement and lifestyle factors and longevity research, then we can help insurance companies make more accurate prediction about the future of lifespan, and the information can allow them to better price the products and maybe produce new policies for those kind of person that is growing old and his needs is changing, and it's changing very rapidly because all
yeah.
our modern world is changing very rapidly.
Yeah.
And this
How
is the
about
connection, actually. This is the
yeah.
connection.
How about watch devices? When I got this, I didn't when I got my watch, I think it's like almost every kind of technology. You're probably not using it to the fullest extent that you could use it. When I got this, and I would say probably for a year or two, I did it predominantly just to count my steps, but it's been very recent that I've been using it to, count steps, but also measure the time that I'm actually engaged. But now, even pushing it further, the heart rate, now I'm trying to
Yeah.
exceed and trying to push myself incrementally around that. And I do feel better. And I'm wondering how much of the technology is going to be these sorts of devices that are kind of attached to us.
Well, there are two kind of devices, in my opinion. There are devices that are passive devices, like your watch, that is doing all the work without you need to do anything. It can be a device on you, a wearable. It can be something that is attached to the walls of your home, and then we can monitor your behavior. And let's say if we come back to the older adults, then if somebody falls over and over, it doesn't have to be a very dramatic fall when he broke something, but just sitting on the floor and getting up, sitting, and the next time can be very dangerous, then we need to know it because he has health issues and the health policy must address it in calculating the prices. So it can be attached to the wall, it can be something that you wear, and I think it will become more and more accurate and it can understand the environment. I think collecting data is not the issue. We can collect a lot of data, but we must understand the context of the data and we must analyze it. And unfortunately, a lot of devices today doesn't collect the initial data from older adults, so the conclusion is not suitable for older adults. So we have a little bit more adjustments to do, but I think this is the future. It will detect heart fibrillation, it will detect behavioral issues, and collect a lot of data about what you are doing and when you are doing it. And it's very vulnerable data.
Yeah.
This is the key to change your behavior. This will help you change your behavior and become more healthy person and more secured.
So there are two stakeholders in this equation that I see could be the obstacle to a broader take up of this. One is the consumer itself, because I've seen it specifically in telematics with auto. It's now starting to get traction, but I would say the first 10 years that telematics was widely available, I think the feeling was I don't want some outside firm surveying me, right, and watching me. It probably has more negatives than positives. Let's start with that one. From the consumer protection, what have you been seeing around consumers' willingness to adopt these technologies?
Well, there is a concern about privacy, and the research shows that older adults are more concerned about
Hmm.
their private data than the other segment of the population. And so we need to be very clear about what we're going to do with the data and how we're going to protect it. And only then I think that there will be a cooperation with this segment of the population. But in the battle of privacy, in my point of view, I think we lost. Everybody can know anything about us. The data is out there and they can collect it. If not from this kind of data, then they can do some analysis and from other stuff. And there are cameras everywhere. And it's very hard to keep your privacy. But I think that regulation eventually will put very strict rules about it. But
Hmm.
until the regulation will be there, we have to be very straight about what we're going to do with the data and tell it to the customer and ask for approval.
Yeah. So you went right into the second stakeholder, the regulators.
Yeah.
They will be very concerned about the privacy issues. They will be very concerned about how this data is used internally. And it sounds like transparency is the lubricant that can allow this. As long as these firms are transparent in what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're using the information, take up, and I think that will alleviate a lot of the concerns from the regulators.
No, I think, well, always the regulators are one step behind. Let's take, for example, Gen AI. They are still struggling how to regulate this kind of technology. But I think the business side will be more advanced, always more advanced, and insurance companies will be leading adaptation of prevention and early detection devices and products. So being transparent is very important. Getting the approval of the customer, and if you are transparent, people are willing to adopt technologies that will, in the end, make them have a better quality of life.
Yeah.
And if you are saving suffering, then they are willing to adopt. They need to understand why this product is good for me. What is the value? If they understand the value, then they are willing to adopt. If you are just offering a product because it has a value for you, it is not enough.
Yeah.
You
Uh,
as a company, of course.
Yeah, and now everything that you're describing now makes sense of when I was doing research on you and gerontology and some of the advances. I was initially surprised that the Society of Electrical Engineers was so linked to gerontology, but it is about it is about devices, sensors, measuring things, and that now makes sense of why the electrical engineers are so involved, I'm guessing.
Yes, they actually they wanted to join the European Society of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, and one of the terms was that they should have something that will benefit the society. And there was a professor called Ruven Garnot, he's passed away, but he said, okay, let's. He was an older adult, and he was very interested in the space, and he said, we will open this technology for Aging Well Group. So at the beginning, it was something that they needed to do, but then we were 14 person around round table. All of them were men and electrical engineering and me. And then we grew up and grew, and a lot of people joined us because it's a very interesting space. And of course, it is the future because the world is getting older. And now we are more than 1,500 people in the group.
Mm,
It is managed by the Joint, which is an Israeli organization. And it's very interesting. When you are looking on the world, you see that now we have more than 12% of the world population that are 60 years and above. In 2030, it will be 16%. In
mm,
2050, it will be more than 20%. Then every fifth person in the world will be an older adult. It's a segment that you cannot ignore. You must understand it.
yeah,
You must understand the needs. And the needs of an older adult is 65 years old is not the needs of an 80 or 85 years old person. Just like in children, child that is 5 years old hasn't got the same needs than someone that is 18.
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
you
that
need to understand this kind of population, their needs and their want.
yeah, and it creates all sorts of resource burdens on society. So it makes a big difference. I'd like to ask one final question, which is, clearly there's a link between Insurtech Israel and the United States that has existed for quite some time. I'm assuming that Insurtech Israel, given where you are, must have, access to the Middle East, Europe, probably parts of Asia. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes.
Okay. I'm interested from a regulatory standpoint. Are there certain parts of the world that you're seeing are adopting the technologies faster or using them in the insurance ecosystem faster than perhaps the United States or perhaps some countries in Europe? Where are we seeing the best traction and the most acceleration in the take up of the technologies and the take up of insurance towards these technologies?
Well, from what I've seen, I saw that almost every big insurance companies had an innovation division. In Australia, IIG has a very activate innovation group. In Sompo has an innovation lab. So in Japan. So I cannot say that there is more somewhere in the world that is more adopting technology than the others because they have different needs. Because in Australia they're looking at climate, in Japan they're looking on the old society and how to maintain their health, and it's different needs. You cannot compare. But I think all of them, from Israel to Australia to Japan, Europe, and United States, all of them understand that they need to adopt technology because there's no other solution. There are so many
Yeah.
challenges that we need to face. Then only technologies can be accessible, can be diverse, that has no geographical barriers. This is the only solution.
Yeah. And it's the only one that works at scale, usually. So thank
Yeah,
you so much. I will put your the connections to you and to InsurTech Israel in the show notes as well. But thank you for coming on and thank you for talking about your very important research and the very important work InsurTech Israel is doing.
thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
for having me.